Hi, everybody, and it's lovely to see you again. We are here for another week, all about gynae. This is my YouTube channel for the Female Health Doctor Clinic, and every week I want to bring to you something interesting in the world of gynecology. And we've been focusing a lot on perimenopause and menopause because, quite frankly, a lot of us are in it, and a lot of us want the help with it. So, I've been joined by the lovely Trish, who is a menopause coach, and what she does is quite different, as you'll find out when she talks about it. But the real thing we wanted to sort of bring across today is that even if you've tried all the things for HRT and you still feel something's not quite right and your emotions feel like they're a bit all over the place, then actually sometimes what you need some help from a coach, therapist, whoever, to work through that, because menopause brings for a lot of us a lot of turmoil, and it tends to be right at the time in life where everything is also incredibly busy. So Trish, do you want to start by kind of telling everybody about you, and then we'll kind of dive into it, because I've had some questions already, so we'll go into it.
Thanks, Nikki. So as you've introduced me, I'm a menopause coach. I tend to call myself a holistic menopause coach, as I look at menopause management as a whole, as in you have to look at almost all aspects of your life. And I became a menopause coach from my own personal experience. So, which is what led me down this path, having to navigate the struggles and the lack of information there and learning along the way. And that's how, dealing with my own issues, I became a menopause coach. So that's just a bit about me.
Yeah, and I think often we get into these things, don't we, based on our own experiences, and actually, I think that then makes us sort of stronger in a way, because then it means that we can then use our experience to help others and deepen our own experience of our own, what we're doing, and understanding ourselves. So brilliant. All right, thank you. So I know basically you call yourself a menopause coach, but it's so much more than that, isn't it? I mean, a menopause coach conjures up all sorts of things about life coaching and things like that, but actually what you do is very unique by the sounds of it. So what do you do to help women through their menopause transition?
So I empower women through the menopause transition. I provide menopause awareness to organizations just so that people have the knowledge, which I didn't have at the start. But I specialize in helping women naturally manage their emotional and mental challenges that come during this time of our lives. And sometimes may not respond to HRT, as you stated, as that was my experience. And also having a group of women, of over 80,000 women, I also know that I'm not the only one. A lot of women had the same experience where they have even gone as far as stopping their HRT because the benefits of the HRT is being overshadowed by the emotional turmoil they're going through. And as I said, although HRT is gold standard, menopause management is holistic, and our well-being is a very important factor. And you don't enjoy anything. You don't even appreciate most things if you're not feeling good. So that's what I do. My specialty is helping women naturally. So I have to say the word naturally, because I know there are other alternatives, overcome those emotional issues like anxiety, low moods, depression, sometimes feeling very emotional, or just, sometimes some women just say, I just feel out of control. So those are all aspects of the emotional turmoil that comes around the same time as well. And
does that include things like sleep problems as well?
Insomnia, because if you're stressed out and you're anxious, you get a lot of women who tell you, I can't sleep, because your brain doesn't switch off. It just continues picking up little things. So, and that impacts your sleep patterns as well, being able to shut down and go to sleep. So stress, overwhelming stress, becomes a factor. Women notice things that would never usually send them into stress, will send people into stress, irritability. So it's the whole spectrum of emotional issues.
Okay. I know the draft NICE guidance that suggested what we could do to help women going through their menopause was quite it wasn't heavy on it, but it was also including things in there like CBT, talking therapy. And so is that what you do, or is it different to the traditional kind of talking therapy that we're offered?
So when it comes,
guest speaker, go away.
I do apologize. I've got like three phones at the same time. So,
wow, busy lady.
So, as I was saying, when it comes to therapies, from my own personal experience and from working with loads of women in this field, I believe an integrated therapy approach is the best, a blended therapy approach like I do. And that includes talk therapy, hypnotherapy, neuro-linguistic programming, and also coaching, because coaching looks at the whole way you look at life as well. So I tend to blend all of those therapies. And for me and my clients and all the other women that I've talked to, that has been more effective at getting the results they want, at getting fast results, getting their emotion into control really, really fast. And though talk therapy is great, and which is what is recommended by the Menopause Society, although the North American Menopause Society do acknowledge that hypnotherapy do work as well. It works on the conscious level. So talk therapy works on the conscious level, reframing how your mind works and stuff. But what women do not appreciate is that when it comes to emotional challenges, those things, even though they are originally triggered by the decline of estrogen, can also relate to past traumas, past memories, and all those come to forth at the same time. And secondly, when we experience an emotion over and over, the brain likes patterns, it likes habits, because it prefers habits. That way it doesn't use a lot of energy. So if you experience anxiety over and over a period, it becomes a habit. Your brain stores it as a habit, but it stores that in your subconscious. So working on it on a conscious level is tougher. But when you work with the other therapies like hypnotherapy and NLP that works on the subconscious, it then makes it, the work blends, it merges, and it works better. So my work is working on the conscious and the subconscious, which is why it works so fast and is so effective. And I believe that's the best one for menopausal women, especially because menopause and midlife changes, they intersect.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, because we're all unique, aren't we? So we all have very unique needs. I have people that come to me and they say, "Oh, I've had talking therapy, didn't work for me." Well, actually, maybe it's just not the right thing. Maybe you need to try something a little bit different. And that's precisely what you offer, isn't it? It's that different approach. That sometimes it's not about talking through the past. It's about just tapping into that bit of you that just needs a little bit of helping hand, isn't it? And that's why the hypnotherapy is so great and the NLP is so great. I've experienced both myself, and it's been amazing, honestly. Especially for anxiety around exams and things like that, hypnotherapy was it was that thing I needed just to get me over the edge. It just took that little bit off just so that I could get through it. And so I very much value what you do. It's excellent. So what do you think that particularly helps women? So when they've got a struggle with their mental health around this sort of time of their life, what therapies do you think work the best, or is it kind of that all of them work the best?
So I can go from my own personal experience, as in I tried talk therapy because I was very firm that I did not want to go down the pharmacy. I was already on HRT and still struggling. So I was very sure I didn't want to go down pharmaceutical route for my emotional issues. So I tried talk therapy, and it did move the needle. So, I did notice that I wasn't as bad as when I started, but not to the point where I felt I was where I needed to be.
Mm.
So, for some people, talk therapy works. While for others who have come to me, I've worked with people who've been in talk therapy for 3 years and said, it's not done it for me. It's helped me cope, but it's not done. So each therapy works to a certain level. But I think the reason why my work is so effective, as I said, is because it's not looking at one aspect of your mind. As I tell people when they say, I don't understand the subconscious, I go, every movement you do is controlled by your brain. But when you're walking, you don't think I'm putting my right foot in front of my left foot. It's a subconscious action, but it's your brain still controlling it. So the same way it stores other patterns, it becomes a subconscious action. Your anxiety becomes subconscious. You don't go through that processing loop anymore. You just go into anxiety like I'm going into exam, and you don't go, I'm well prepared, I'm okay. And I find that the more logical people are, the more they need things like hypnotherapy and NLP, because the logical mind, you go in talk therapy is saying, think this way, and you're going, I know I should think this way, but I'm still worried about my exam. So you actually arguing with yourself in your mind, while hypnotherapy bypasses all that logical parts and just goes to which I'll call a file, what your brain has put. We're scared, our reaction is anxiety, and then takes that out and replace it with, no, we're well prepared for this. It's just exam. We know we'll do well. And use your own word to replace it. So it's not me putting words into your mind. It's you using the words you should be using, but your brain is not bringing up those words. So now, instead of us going, oh, we're going to die, instead what comes up when your brain goes to that place, that file is being replaced by something says, we're fine, we've got this. So you don't go into a spiral at all. So I still believe the most effective is a blend of something that works with your subconscious and also works with your conscious as well. So
Brilliant. Well, I mean, I know most, if not all of the women that I know are all very logical, very intelligent, and actually probably needed to hear that. They probably needed to hear that actually they might be fighting with themselves a little bit, and actually having these kinds of things can really help. So amazing. All right. So the next thing then is kind of what signs should a woman look out for? So if she's watching this now, what signs would you say she needs to look out for that means that actually she would likely benefit from this kind of therapy?
Okay. So I'll start with the start, and I like highlighting this because as women, we want to do everything at the same time, especially working women. So we have excuses for the way we feel. And sometimes this has been supported by research. When the estrogen start declining, for some women, they do not start experiencing the common symptoms, the hot flushes, night sweat. Instead, they can start way before the common symptoms of menopause start with the emotional symptoms, as I did. So when you start noticing that your stress level is just off the charts and there's nothing else that's happened in your life to warrant you being that highly stressed, don't do what I did. Maybe I need a holiday. Maybe we look for excuses.
Yeah.
But nothing I did not realize is hormonal. So you're looking at your stress level, you're looking at your level of irritability. I think setting you up faster than before. Is your boss at work who's always been a bit difficult and you could handle it now, little things get to you. Do you notice that you're getting a bit more paranoid? That's something that comes up. People go, my friends don't like me anymore. I think they talk behind my back. I've even had people go, I think my husband is cheating. He's not done anything different. So those are the weird ones, but they do happen. And a lot of women, so at that time, because you're not having all the other symptoms, you can start thinking, you give yourself excuses. Maybe I need another job. Maybe my relationship is not working out. Maybe my husband is not paying so much attention. Maybe the kids are just getting more rowdy. When you start noticing all those things, it means your emotional aspect of menopause is kicked in. Your serotonin is dropped, your epinephrine is dropped, and your dopamine is dropped. And those sometimes would drop earlier than, and those are the first signals you have that of estrogen decline before you start experiencing other symptoms. Then on the other side of it, the other women that I work with are women who on HRT, they know the HRT is working, their vasomotor symptoms are all addressed. They're not having night sweats, they're not having the hot flushes, they probably even sleeping a bit better, they feel generally better, but the anxiety is still there, the low moods are still there, the sense of feeling out of control is still there. And
Yeah.
sometimes it gets really overwhelming that they just feel like it's going to come out of nowhere. I've had
Yeah.
women say, "Yeah, I get anxiety episode out of nowhere." Some women just start noticing that they are having driving anxiety. Never had it, been driving for 40 years with no issue, 45 years. So it could be social anxiety, driving anxiety. When you start noticing that, I know online people will say, go increase your estrogen level. Speak to your doctor. You may need to increase your estrogen level, but most doctors will do a blood test to see where you are, to see if you need to. But most of the time, that's when you need that additional help on working separately on your mind to regulate your emotion.
Yeah. No, that's really helpful. Because I often have women say things like, I just feel something's not right. And yet they've probably been to see their doctor a couple of times already, and their doctor has said, but your hormones are fine. What's wrong
Yeah,
with you? Yet they're having anxiety over driving, which they never had before.
before.
Or as you said, they're just getting really emotional about things that they wouldn't normally get emotional about. I mean, I think I would say probably about 80% of women that come into my room cry within the first 5 minutes of sitting there, just
Same.
because they just feel so overwhelmed and just frustrated that what was working so well for them
And
suddenly
does.
doesn't. And I recognize that in myself as well, as somebody that's gone through this early. I definitely had that, and I still, to a certain extent, every now and again will have moments where I feel perhaps more paranoid. That's why I was laughing. I was like, oh my god, yes, that's happened to me before. Or where you feel you're not in control. So yeah, that's really helpful. So look out for those things. If that's happening to you, you're not going mad. You're definitely not going mad.
Yeah, definitely
You're
not.
not you're not getting dementia. Nothing weird is happening. You just need to go and speak to Trish, and she can then help you with the kind of therapies you might need. You may even need some HRT, and you can come and see someone like me. But it's just bringing it all together, isn't it? Talking it
It
out
is.
loud. I've got a problem. I need help, and going to get that help. So on that note, then, what before we go on to like the questions that we've got, what practical things can a woman do? Sort of maybe some 3 top tips that you've got, that to help herself feel better, basically.
Most importantly, I would say diet. And diet as in links to your gut health. Those are things I never appreciated till I started practicing and studying more and more. And your gut is linked to your brain, something I never knew. So, and which means look at how you feel. You're bloating more. You find yourself that you're having distended belly more from the bloating side of it. You just don't feel comfortable in your body.
Mm.
Most women start realizing that they are allergic to things they used to eat.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest thing I do tell women to be conscious of is alcohol. Your body, for some reason, cannot process alcohol like it used to. And I hear a lot of women come to me going, it helps me relax, maybe for like 10, 20 minutes. but the long-term impact, the anxiety level, and the low moods after are all fed from that glass or 2 glass of wine. So I tell people to look at what they're putting in and move towards, like, I practically live on chamomile teas now. So you looking at the herbal teas and stuff like that. So once you know what's going into your, that really helps you in almost every aspect, with your mental health, and also with controlling other symptoms of menopause. Makes you just feel good, comfortable in your body, which feels like it's not yours anymore half the time. And then secondly, I would ask women to look at breath work. It's also something that I've just included in my work with people, but breath work can move you from sorry, words I just like from having anxiety where your brain is going 20 miles a minute, and women have come to me shaking, and with 3 minutes of breath work, you've gotten yourself calm to the point where you can now think properly. So it's really important if you can learn it on your own, because we all don't breathe properly, and I never realized it till I started learning about it. So we're talking about, you feel yourself stressed out, or you feel yourself, you wake up, or you're doing something and you just feel that. Sometimes some people will feel it like a pressure in the middle of your chest. You can sit down at your desk, your colleagues don't need to know what you're doing, and you take breath in slowly, but 3 times if you want to count. You go and make sure that your stomach is distended, so you're making sure it's going to the bottom of your diaphragm, and then you breathe out through your mouth longer. And doing that, just that for like 1 minute, will remove that whole pressure you feel and calm you down enough to think, to analyze what's happening. So that really helps, and that's like shortcuts to get yourself calmer. No matter if you're feeling emotional, you want to cry, you do that. Then the other one is switching your mind into happy mode. So you need to just get that serotonin going. And I tell people, if you feel like you have a deep every morning, put your best music, the one you probably liked in college, and that's been shown. 3 to 5 minutes of you just dancing, listening. Don't play ballad that talk about broken hearts. The worst thing you can do when you're feeling down. So you're talking about anything you could dance to that you love, that you just hear and you start moving, and go for it. 3 to 5 minutes, and your serotonin level will hit the top. And that's a good start to your day. So those are things you can do, incorporate into your life, just to get your moods better.
They're really good reminders. That's really good reminders. That's pattern interruption. Get that dancing going. Get the singing going. Get your breath work done. And obviously diet. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? But it's not something that I had a whole conversation yesterday with somebody just about diet. That's literally the entire conversation was just, what can I eat to feel better? Okay, how long have we got?
It's more difficult. That's the thing. Even with me as a menopause coach, my weakness is Krispy Kreme. Don't take me past one of those. So I have to practically do this, because if I eat it, it's not just I feel bloated. I wake up the next morning and I look 3 months pregnant. My body cannot stand white flour anymore. And that's not something I had a problem with before perimenopause. I don't drink alcohol anymore, because if I have 1 glass, my body takes about 3 days to recover. So I'm not even thinking what's happening inside my body, but I can feel the effect for 3 days. And I thought, for a glass of wine, I'll pass. So it's just being aware that your diet, that whatever you put into your body, has an impact on this time, and your body doesn't rally like it used to. I wish it did, but
oh, if only. Oh gosh. Okay, well, they're really good top tips. Thank you. So I had a couple of questions. I'll try and sort of summarize them a little bit. So the first one was about really struggling to get up in the morning. So, doing all the right things, getting to bed on time, good morning and good evening routine, taking magnesium glycinate, but still really struggling to get up in the morning. I mean, I don't know any more than that in terms of her medical background, but my first thought would be things like, what's weight doing? Are they breathing okay? Are there snoring problems? Are they stopping breathing in the middle of the night? So sleep apnea actually happens a lot in women, and we tend to focus on men, but actually it can happen in women too. So as a doctor, with my doctor hat on, that was one of the first things I thought of. But actually, as you were talking, you were saying about repetition and patterns and habits. So could this be just a habit that she's kind of got herself into, and through no fault of her own, just because of menopause?
You have hit the nail on the head, because I started snoring during perimenopause, never snored in my life. So I started monitoring my sleep pattern. And that snoring was my own snoring was waking me up, because it's a sound I was not used to. So that was something that I had to deal with and got sorted out as well. Also, she should start checking when, as in, is this a constant? If it's a constant, then it's become a pattern. Some women say, I wake up every time 2:00. It's become a pattern that you wake up every time at that same time. So you have to change the pattern, and hypnotherapy would work well with any of those sort of issues. But she should keep, I use my Fitbit, so that she knows when she wakes up. But there are lots of reasons as to why you wake up in the morning, and also depending on how you feel in the morning. So some women will say, I wake up feeling jittery and with palpitation. If that's how you wake up, it means you are probably experiencing anxiety. But in the daytime, you got a lot of things to take your mind off it. But anxiety runs in the subconscious. So when you're sleeping and your conscious, which is telling you anxiety, I got other things to do, goes down, your anxiety runs in the background and it wakes you, because you're not actually sleeping, you're not restful. Your subconscious is still running. Oh, we almost died today. This happened and that happened. So you wake up exhausted, not really waking up, because you're now really exhausted, but your subconscious and your conscious are now awake, but you're totally exhausted and you feel jittery, you feel clammy, you feel like you've run a mile and you're totally sticking. So depending on how you wake up, it will tell you if it's an emotional issue or if it is a pattern, and it could be any of those.
Okay, no, that's really good. That's really good advice. Okay, so hopefully the person that asked that question will have their answer. And then the next question was around that it's not the knowing what's normal to be expected, or whether to be worried about changes that are happening. It feels like I could be at the doctor's every week asking questions about the newest thing to occur. I guess my question could be around regulating my emotions and not allowing myself to spiral into worry or anxiety. So I think what you've already talked about is part of that, but is there a way that she can kind of snap out of it, or a way that she can kind of recognize it's happening, or what would you suggest in that situation?
So when I work with women, one of the things I do is also educating them, and that gives them that ability to be able to say, is this something I need to see the doctor, or is this something I can deal with? And from personal experience, you going through it, I'm going through it, there is no book. What I've noticed is that when you're going through perimenopause, any condition you're predisposed to that has been managed properly comes to the forefront, which is why you might be experiencing something different from me. Some people will just get psoriasis come out of nowhere. And so I tell people, it's like before menopause, you're like a new car. There are some defects there in the DNA, but it's running. Everything else is running perfectly. So you don't notice it. All your functions are going. But when it goes down, all the little kinks that you predisposed to comes forth. And yes, you can I was having a new symptom like every week. So you could be going to the doctor. Is this happening to me? Am I having this problem or that? I do tell people the advice is, if in doubt, see the doctor for your rest of mind. But what I do is educate people on there's going to be a whole spectrum of things that's going to come up. And resilience is one of the most important thing you need when it comes to menopause, especially perimenopause. When you get to menopause, things sort of like balance out. You know where you stand. But
Thank
that
goodness.
perimenopause period, which it could be from anything from 7 to 10 years. I'm 6 years in. I'm still in perimenopause. I still have days where I wake up and it's like I need my feel good, but I understand. I still have days where my anytime I increase my HRT, my boobs hurt. But I know now that my boobs hurt. So there are different things. Your body changes and is all sometimes your estrogen level spikes, sometimes it drops, and all that's going to happen throughout the perimenopause period. So, you know, just understand that there is no normal. I don't think I've seen any textbook normal. I tell people I've never had night sweats. So there's no textbook normal at all. But if in doubt, see a doctor, but you don't need to see a doctor all the time. Work on your emotional resilience so that you're not into that something bad's happening.
Yeah, and also use the Facebook groups as well, isn't it? You know, use your Facebook group. I've got a Facebook group. There's lots of menopause ones out there. Sometimes just sharing that worry can be enough for someone to go, oh yeah, I had that too. Oh, okay, great. I feel better now.
That's why I set up the Facebook group, because my Facebook group grew so fast and is now 82,000 women.
Wow.
And that's because I realized that one of the reason my anxiety spiraled was because, one, I didn't know I was going through perimenopause. I wasn't looking for the right things anyway. And you don't Google. So the last thing is, please don't Google your symptom, because Google told me I was dying so many times.
Yeah, if you don't know what you're looking for, yes, everybody's dying.
Everybody's dying. You put all the symptoms of perimenopause on Google without saying the word perimenopause, Google is going to tell you something you don't want to know. So that's not good for your anxiety. And that's the reason when I started working and understanding that sometimes this information, people go in and just look at the list of symptoms. And once their symptoms don't fall into the common list, something's wrong with me. And it's understandable, especially someone like me. I've always been healthy. I can count how many times I'd been to the doctors. Then perimenopause started and I was at the doctors every week. Yeah. So I understand, but yeah, all these groups do help, and you will find someone who's gone through. And then, with all the groups who got the experts like you and I tell women, if you can't find it, send me a message. I'm happy to.
And we'll have a chat. Yeah. And what's the name of your Facebook group so I can share it with everybody?
It's called Let's Talk Perimenopause and Menopause.
Let's talk perimenopause and menopause. So I'm doing this on the fly. I'm going to add that in. So that's good. So I'm going to show everybody here. There we go.
Yeah.
So if you want to contact Trish, that's her Facebook group. Let's talk perimenopause and menopause. And then you've got her website as well, trishmenopausecoach.com. It does what it says on the tin. So definitely get in touch with her if you feel that this is something that you would benefit from. I think probably everybody should be able to say that this would be something they could benefit from. Thank you so much, Trish. This has been absolutely amazing. Really great half hour. Thank you for imparting your knowledge and spending your time with us.
Thanks for having me, and I hope this helps someone out there.
Oh, definitely, 100% will. So thank you very much, everybody. If you've got any questions, please feel free to forward them on, and I can always pass them on. So, all right, see you next time. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.